I was on a school trip when we saw a kid in a wheelchair rolling backwards down a hill. Me and my classmates were walking towards the ocean cliffs to observe the wildlife when we saw it. A kid, maybe 10 years old, sitting in a wheelchair at the top of the cliff. Suddenly, a gust of wind passed by and the kid screamed, "Help, my brakes aren't working!" He started uncontrollably rolling down the hill. I looked around frantically and screamed, "Someone do something!" But all of my classmates just stood there watching in horror. One of them grabbed my arm and yelled, "Dude, go! You're the fastest one here." I didn't even think. I sprinted up that cliff as fast as my legs could carry me, thinking about how cool I'd look when I rescued him in front of everyone, especially in front of my crush. But that thought didn't last long, because with every second the kid was getting closer to falling into the ocean, and I could see his little hands gripping the armrests. He looked terrified. When I finally got close enough to his wheelchair to grab it, I thought everything was going to be okay. But that's when my teacher appeared out of nowhere and stepped directly in front of me. She shoved me backwards, hard. Don't even think about touching him or going near his wheelchair. Her voice was ice cold. The kid kept rolling down the cliff. He was literally rolling towards his death, and my teacher was stopping me from helping. "What are you doing?" I exclaimed. "He could die." Behind me, I could hear my classmates running up the hill trying to help too. "Why would you do that?" Three of them yelled in unison. I frantically searched around for someone else to help out, and that's when I spotted a woman running down the cliff. There were tears streaming down her face, and I could tell she was the kid's mom. I thought she was going to push the teacher away and help save her son, but instead she started screaming, "Get away from my son! He hates physical contact!" I screamed, "He's going to fall and get hurt! He could die!" I screamed it right in my teacher's face while staring at the mother. The kid's mom yelled again, "I said get away from my son!" Meanwhile, my teacher kept her hands locked on my shoulders, forcing me not to move. Me and all 20 of my classmates watched in unison as the kid's wheelchair reached the bottom of the cliff. I saw the kid's knuckles go white as he gripped the armrests harder. I felt sick. I wanted to shove past both of them and grab that kid, but I couldn't move. My teacher's grip on my shoulder was too hard to do anything. But right before the wheelchair plummeted into the ocean, the wheelchair stopped. I thought it was a miracle, and for a second, everyone went silent. But the silence was ruined when the kid started laughing and stood up from his wheelchair. No limp, no struggle, just stood up like he knew exactly how to walk this whole time. One of my classmates started stammering, "This whole time? You could walk?" I was too stunned to speak. All of our eyes were glued to the kid as he walked over to his mom. "That was so fun, Mom." She hugged him, and they were both smiling like this was Christmas morning. I stood there with my mouth hanging open, trying to understand what I had just witnessed. I couldn't understand what was going on. That's when my teacher finally let go of my shoulders and said something that made everything make sense. "That entire thing was planned to teach you guys a lesson about safety." I just stared at her. She continued, "You see, I wanted to find a way to teach you guys how to act safe on school trips. I knew that by hiring a kid in a wheelchair to roll down a cliff, you guys would be scared, and it would stop you from going too close to the edge of the cliff. All that panic and rage, and it was a setup the whole time, a lesson." The 10-year-old kid from the fake wheelchair walked over to me. "Thanks for trying to save me, and I'm sorry. I know you were worried. I wanted to tell you about what was really going on, but you were really loud when you were trying to save me, and I got scared." I just nodded and asked, "How much did my teacher pay you to do this?" He smiled. "3 bands. At least he made a bag."